All right, we're just gonna jump straight into this one. I got a little can of Pringles that's empty right now. It was like my snack right after I got out of work. Um, if you see me in this brown shirt, you can just assume that I got out of work because there's been multiple videos in a row where I wear the same shirt. I promise it's not the same day that I'm recording these. It's literally this is just like my work fit. A little while ago, it was like this Nautica pullover thing that I was wearing, but right now it's this little brown long sleeve that I've been wearing. The sun is out. It's only like 7:29 p.m. There's a group of guys coming in this direction, not to bother me, but because I believe that the car that's parked to my left is the car that they're in. They're probably looking at me like a little confused, like what the fuck am I doing in here? I would go on a walk right now into the forest, but nah, I'll pass. And I could have just gone straight home. I almost didn't really feel like coming out here to record this video, just because, I mean, I've been awake since earlier than I'm accustomed to. I don't really wake up that early. Like, I'm not an early bird gets the worm kind of guy. But, you know, whatever. And also, there's nobody home right now. Like, my entire family's out doing their own thing. It is 4th of July. They're not doing anything celebrating 4th of July, by the way. I just wanted to make that clear. I don't know. But anyways, the topic that I want to talk about in this video is the importance of being in alignment, right? And that can sort of, a lot of these topics, I feel like any topic that I discuss in these videos, you can sort of apply them to a general, maybe like broad, different view kind of scenario. That was like a word jungle right there. But what I'm trying to say is the importance of being in alignment. Maybe it could be being in alignment with someone else. Maybe it could be being in alignment with a team of people. I don't know. You can apply it to any scenario you can think of. But what I kind of want to discuss right now is the alignment with yourself, which maybe you're like, how the fuck am I going to be aligned with myself? Like, I don't know. But it's a very real thing, at least to me in this point of where I'm at. Listen, none of these videos that I record are scripted. It's literally just me coming out here and just saying whatever it is, how I'm processing it in the moment, and you take it how you want it. If it lands, great. If it doesn't, still great. It doesn't matter, But I still want to come out here and talk about it because, to me, it feels true. Is it truth? I'm not really concerning myself over that when I record these videos. They're unfiltered and they're raw for a reason. That's just kind of like the point of this channel. It's very unfiltered, very raw. There's nothing that I'm writing down to like perfect or whatever. I'm really just coming out here and saying it, and then whatever flows out of me after that is just what comes out. Things are maybe bound to be changed in these videos. That's just kind of like the way that it works in the nature of something that's unfiltered. Don't take my word so seriously or deeply, but at the same time, like at the moment that I'm at now, that's just what I believe in, or maybe that's just how I'm interpreting the world around me. So what I'm talking about in terms of being aligned with yourself, understand, there's something that I did yesterday that was maybe kind of out the blue, and it got some interesting reactions, but I don't necessarily regret I don't regret the action. I don't regret what I did because it was in alignment with how I felt. And maybe that sounds absurd, maybe that sounds selfish, and I'm not saying like everything that someone does or everything that I do out of like an impulse is a great thing. If I were to do something out of the impulse of the emotion of anger, it's not a good thing to do. Like if I'm genuinely pissed off, if I'm genuinely upset, if I'm genuinely angered by something, and just based off that emotion, then I go on and do something, it's not a good thing. However, if I'm doing something like out of an impulse, out of an emotion that I feel to be like a good emotion, maybe the result of that can be a good thing. Maybe it can be a bad thing. But everything is also like subjective, So I don't want to go into detail too much about what happened, just because I don't know. Like, just these videos are public, and now that I know that people are watching these that I know personally, it's almost like, oh, if they want to know, I don't know. Maybe I can kind of dive into it a little bit. It doesn't really matter. Like, I don't want to air out dirty laundry either. You know what I'm saying? But whatever. The gist is, you can kind of understand what the point is, right? Like, I did something out of an impulse, but it was based on a good feeling, you know? And whatever came after that, although it got people upset, it was like, okay, and it's not me disregarding anything that comes as a result of that. You know, if people are upset, you kind of have to work with that, especially if you care about somebody. You have to understand where they're coming from, and also give them the space to just be able to process whatever, however much they feel like processing. If they're processing at all, you know, that's entirely up to them. But if you did something out of alignment of what you feel to be good and true, and also based on something that you feel is for the betterment of not just for the moment, but for a lifetime, for the duration of what's left of my life, then there's nothing to be ashamed about. There's nothing to be ashamed about. Simply being, if there's something that I'm doing, and it's something that I'm doing out of love, and it's something that I'm doing out of a good feeling, and I have the vision of, okay, if I'm standing by my truth, and the things that I'm doing and the things that I'm saying are backed by what I feel is to be my truth, then I simply can't. It's not about, I almost said I simply can't lose, but it's not about losing, because that sounds crazy. Like, maybe that sounds a little too much. Like, oh, what are you talking about, lose? Like, are you a narcissist or something? I don't know. Maybe that's not the proper adjective. I don't fucking know. But the point is, if something is backed by love and by what you feel to be your truth, you're not gonna fail. You're simply not gonna fail. There's no failing, because you at least put yourself. I at least put myself. I put my truth first. I put what I believe in to come first, and simply being that the things that have happened have been backed by that. Then whatever comes after that is just like, okay, maybe it just wasn't meant to be. Maybe it just wasn't what I thought, and that's okay. Like, that's okay. Regardless of how things happened or how things have been going, or regardless of how something may turn out, at the end of the day, all these things are happening for a reason. And not only are they happening for a reason, but what's really kind of happening is things are unfolding in a way that the outcome at the end was the same outcome that we were going to get to, regardless of which path we took. Does that make sense? Now, again, do I really believe in that? Is that something that's a fact? That's something that's true? No. Like I said a few minutes ago, anything that I say in these videos, as they are unfiltered and raw, there's no script. And even if there was a script, does that make something true? No, it doesn't. It just makes it a little bit more filtered and maybe a little bit more catered to try to point in a better direction or something like that. But the same thing can happen from an unfiltered raw video. You know what I'm saying? So, when you're in alignment with your truth, whatever else happens out there in the world, and by the world, I don't mean like the entire world, I just mean like in your surroundings, the people around you and all that stuff. If you're doing something based on love, on truth, I was going to say a third thing, but I can't think of a third thing, then it's okay. It's going to be okay. Now, don't get me wrong. If you're doing something based out of fear, if you're doing something based out of anger, like the consequences or the result that you're going to see around you is not going to look so pretty, you know? And maybe you could say the same thing about maybe doing something out of love, you know? Like, maybe that's a possibility. But at the same time, if you did it out of love, then you gave it your best. That's just how I see it at the moment, you know? You gave it your best. Especially if you have a vision for something that you want in your life and you're not willing to settle for anything less than that, then simply being that if something were to fall apart and you gave it your best and it doesn't stand for your vision, then it's okay to just let go and just be like, okay, I'm still going to be okay. The people around me are still going to be okay. The current time may feel like shit, but you gave it your all. You gave it your all, and it was backed by truth and love. You know what I'm saying? So don't fear the unknown too much. Because at the end, like, although it's unknown, it's the same conclusion for each and every one of us. You know, we're all going to be on our deathbed someday. And, you know, for myself, when I reached my deathbed, again, I've said it in many videos before, because I feel like it is a profound, maybe not so much a profound thing, but it is a very real thing. You know, by the time that each of us, any one of us, including myself, by the time that we reach our deathbed, or however we reach the conclusion of this story of the person that we are in this lifetime, you would hope, and I would hope, that by that time, I can maybe reflect, not through all the years, not through every second, but just overall, I can be like, okay, I gave it my all. I stood on truth. I stood on love. In any way I possibly could have, especially after having become aware about it, I did it as often as I possibly could. And the result was beautiful. That is just simply how I would envision myself at the end. And because I have that vision of me at the end just being satisfied and fulfilled with what I've done and have accomplished, and all the stuff that I've learned along the way, and all the people around me and all those things, like, there's just a sense of peace that, like, no matter what happens, I know, like, it's going to be all right. It's going to be okay. Everyone's story ends, and how it ends is, you know, maybe different for everybody. Not maybe different. I mean, at the end, you know, there's death, but, like, the way that we get there could be different. Whatever. Now there's just a whole bunch of mumbo jumbo going on. But hopefully this video made sense. I just felt like coming out here and saying something, just because it feels like there's been a lot to process in the past few weeks. And ultimately, like, I really do believe that the man I'm becoming is one grounded in truth and in love. And there's no other way that I would want it to go. Not because I think any other way is worse, but because that's me feeling like I'm in alignment with myself. You see how that kind of came full circle there? If you're in alignment with yourself, then once again, you simply can't fail. You simply can't fail. Because anything that you feel like you're missing, that you used to think that you're missing out on, maybe that was something that wasn't in alignment with you. And you thought maybe, dang, like, all these people, everybody is, you feel, you know, everybody's different. Everyone's living their own unique life, right? But if you feel that you're sort of at least a little separate, and I don't mean that in like a narcissistic way, it's coming across like it is, and it could just be a paradox, you know? Because I listen, if you don't know me personally and you're watching these videos, I can come across a certain way. But if you see me and you know me, then you know, like, I'm gentle with everybody. That's just me naturally. I'm gentle with anybody, and I try to make I try to make any place where my 2 feet stand be a good place for me. And that includes anybody that's in my vicinity. That's just naturally how it's going to go. So, when you're in alignment with yourself, just know, whatever comes after that is going to be okay. You stuck to your truth. You stuck to what you love. Let anybody else handle it the way they want to handle it. That has nothing to do with how you're trying to kind of handle your purpose or handle your life. And yeah, you know, leave it to anybody else to figure out what's going on with them. And that's not to say, look, there's also an importance in being aligned with someone else, you know? If a part of your mission includes someone else, whether it be a friend, a partner, relationship, whatever it may be, there is a huge importance. Wow, that's a beautiful car. That's a Porsche. That's a Porsche. I kind of like that the Porsche kind of came in at this moment, talking about alignment. That's like literally the car that, I'm not a car guy, but that car is nice. Like, I would like to have a Porsche one day. And I'm not a materialistic person by any means. I genuinely, but it's just a car that would be like, oh, like a Porsche from the 80s. I think I literally mentioned it in one of the videos like a while ago. Whatever. The point is, being aligned with somebody else is just as important as being aligned with yourself, you know? They're all important. There's not one that's more important than the other. It's simply not true. They're all important just as each of them are. Like, alignment with somebody else is super important, especially like in a relationship. If you're both not on the same page, if someone's a little further and the other person is a little further back, whatever it may be, that alignment is a beautiful thing to have, you know. And when there's the space and time for that, that's a beautiful thing. Sometimes you also just need the space for each person to be able to reflect, process whatever's going on, and then come back. You know, this is the entire thing that I feel like I can talk about with love with another person that I heard before, that I feel like resonates with this overarching kind of message that I'm trying to get to, at least in this part of the video. You know, love between two people. Sometimes you're flying separate. Sometimes you're flying together. Regardless of what's going on at that moment, the destination at the end, you both arrive together. And that's a beautiful thing. Now go enjoy your life. And I really do mean that. That's it.